Before I start, I would like to say all the information I have in this video is from fandom. Anyway, let's talk about Bloodsport, a character who showed up in James Gunn's new movie, The Suicide Squad. Bloodsport's real name is Robert Dubois. Sorry if I said that wrong, I might be saying that wrong. Anyway, he is a villain who is now currently part of the Suicide Squad. Fandom's description for him is, Robert Dubois, also known as Bloodsport, is a mercenary and an operative of the Suicide Squad. The first appearance of his character is in Superman Volume 2, number 4, that came out in 1987. But the first appearance of him in the current timeline, Prime Earth, is in The Flash Volume 5, number 61. Before I talk about what Bloodsport has done, I have to say that the current timeline story is a little different than the old one, so I'll be telling both. Normally, I would just tell the current backstory, but Bloodsport's main story he's in takes place before the current timeline. Now, let's get into the backstories. As a young man, Robert Dubois received his draft notice to fight for his country in Vietnam. Dubois was afraid to go, however. He fled to Canada, and his brother Mikey took Robert's place and served in the war, tragically losing both his arms and legs. This realization sent Robert Dubois over the edge and spent his next 12 years bouncing around various Canadian psychiatric hospitals. Several years ago, Lex Luthor found Dubois and decided to use him as the instrument through which he could finally kill Superman. He secretly outfitted Dubois with a device that enabled him to teleport any weapon he could imagine directly into his hands. One of these weapons was a gun that fired needles of green kryptonite. Luthor's scientists played on Dubois' guilt and sent him out to track down Superman. Luthor's objectives went horribly awry, however, as he failed to account for Robert's psychiatrical instability. Calling himself Bloodsport, Dubois imagined himself as a hard-edged Vietnam War veteran, and went out in combat fatigue, slaughtering more than 25 innocent civilians just to draw Superman out. Superman caught up with Bloodsport at the Kenmore bowling alley, but was felled when Dubois fired a kryptonite needle into his chest. After recovering from the wound, he faced Bloodsport a second time and was able to use his heat vision to ionize the air around his hand, preventing him from summoning any more weapons. Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, meanwhile, has learned the truth about Dubois' history and has located his brother Mikey. He brought Mikey out to the battle scene, whereupon the quadruple, I have no idea how to pronounce that, begged his older brother to give him his violent past. Upon seeing his brother, Robert Dubois collapsed to the ground, wallowing in guilt. Bloodsport was arrested and sent to Strikers Island Penitentiary. Bloodsport remained in prison for several years and eventually earned the enmity of another prisoner who had since taken up the name Bloodsport. This was Alexander Trent, a fanatical racist who despised Dubois. As a racial tension began to overwhelm strikers, the prison warden decided to host a boxing match between Dubois and Trent. He believed that this was the healthiest way to allow the inmates to vent their frustrations without inciting further acts of violence. To safeguard the situation, the warden asked Superman to referee the match. Things quickly got out of hand and a riot broke out. During the fracas, Dubois was able to get his hands on one of Alex Trent's weapons and used it to blast a hole in the prison wall. Robert Dubois ran for freedom, but was apparently shot dead by armed prison guards in the watchtower. That is Bloodsport's story from before New 52. Now, let's get into his new backstory. As a child, Robert and his brother Mikey both dreamed of being soldiers when they grew up. As soon as Robert's brother turned 18, he enlisted. However, Robert did not, seeing that he wasn't brave like his brother. At some point, Mikey died in war, defending the country. Robert's grief over his brother's death pushed him over the edge, and he became the mercenary known as Bloodsport. Eventually, Robert came into conflict with Superman, where Robert used a kryptonite gun on him. Robert was unable to defeat Superman, however, and was imprisoned at Belle Reve. After being incarcerated, Robert was forced to operate as a member of Task Force X by Amanda Waller. He would be sent to different Earths on missions in order to bring back intel about the multiverse. If you couldn't tell, the difference is that Bloodsport's brother is still alive in the first backstory, while in the current backstory he died. He is a part of the current Suicide Squad, but like I said in the Who is Peacemaker video, there isn't much to talk about so far, but I would recommend reading it because it's great. One thing Bloodsport did do is he fought Ultraman, which is pretty cool. Last is powers and abilities, but he only has abilities. Let me read off the list from fandom. Firearms. Bloodsport is a highly skilled marksman, trained to use a wide variety of firearms including handguns, high-caliber rifles, and even flamethrowers, and kryptonite guns. He has gadgetry. Martial arts. Bloodsport is a highly experienced fighter, having taken on metahumans, Atlanteans, and Lanterns head-on. He claimed to be trained in every form of combat. Surveillance, tactical analysis, and weaponry. He also uses weapons and equipment. The equipment and weapons he has are basically the same thing. He has a new suit with the ability to teleport weapons to him, but only Amanda Waller can teleport the weapons. That's the end of the video. Hope you learned something about Bloodsport. I went to see the movie with my friend Ben, and we both enjoyed it. We both give it around a 9 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. So I hope you liked the video. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.